Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another segment of Mastermind Monday. I'm your host, Phylecia Tarel-Anu, and we are here with our co-host,
Damon Rawls.
Hey!
Yep.
And for tonight's topic, we are going to discuss what is wealth.
Yes, great topic.
Yes. So again, we were thinking about this show. I was just thinking it was probably a great idea to talk about it because it seems like something that's kind of, common sense to most people. But I think that there are other aspects to wealth that we don't really discuss or explore or acknowledge. So for instance, when we think of wealth, I think we generally think of, someone having a lot of money or, material possessions. Which is true. That's still a part of it. But there are other things that are also Damon, did you want to share anything in terms of that?
No, at the beginning, you're right when you think about wealth. And I was looking up, as I thought about it, I was looking at the definition, and it only kind of talks about material objects. Even when you look up the definition of wealth, the state of being rich, material prosperity, plentiful supplies of a particular resource, an abundance of valuable possessions or money. It doesn't speak to anything else. Yeah, so I think when everybody talks about wealth, we think about it in regards to things. But you're right, there's so much, you could be wealthy in love and so many other things.
Mm-hmm. Like one of the first things I thought is key is health. Sounds corny, but your health is also your wealth. It seems like it may not be relevant, but if you're not healthy, it doesn't matter how much money that you have. Really can't live your life to the fullest, or you can't make certain things happen if you don't have a healthy body to make it happen, to forward and have the energy, keep a vision going forward. Definitely a healthy mind, body, and spirit to move towards, to even open up yourself to a state of wealth. Having that right mindset so that you can attract it. So I think that's one of the key pieces that we kind of overlook is our health. Because the images that we see with wealthy people, it's kind of one of those pieces that we think is probably not as important. But, I'm not saying that you have to be a vegan and you have to live, a raw food or live food diet. It just means that you have to be like all the other shows that we've had. You have to have a healthy mind, body, and spirit first and foremost in order to kind of make certain.
Yeah, I think the old paradigm was you chase wealth. You would chase wealth, and people are still in that old paradigm, is that they chase wealth and they neglect their mind, body, and spirit. So, you think about the old wealthy guy, he was fat and out of shape, but he was just crazy rich. Mm-hmm. But he died of a heart attack early, or he died of stress. And I think in this realm, in this time frame, in this season, you get those things that you brought up right, and then the wealth follows you. The money wealth. If you get your mind right, if you get your body right, if you get your spirit right, then the money comes and follows you because you got right thinking. And the food helps you have right thinking. And the health helps you have right thinking, which puts you in the right flow for your wealth to come.
Absolutely. Again, it's like what we learned in the training, that the body is the vehicle for the spirit, and the soul and the mind. So body is malfunctioning. Everything, all the wheels aren't turning properly. Everything's not going to kind of be cohesive as it could be, because there's a huge piece that's unhealthy or malnourished. So that's key first and foremost, getting that, like you said, that whole mind, body, and spirit, getting your whole self together, your internal community together before you set forward on your plan to accumulating wealth, so that you can actually also keep it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's key.
Yeah, I mean, like in the training, we talk about OMO. And so that's the flow. Even though that's the Nigerian word for wealth or money, it's still, we're taught that it's a flow. That the spirit of money is a flow. And so if you're in the right place, and everything is flowing properly, spirit energy and everything else, because this is a spiritual show, folks. So, we talk about spirit. So, but, so if those things are flowing properly, similar to last week's show where we talked about the chakras, if those things, all of that stuff is flowing properly, then it all works. Wealth is there. Because I think, in my opinion, I think people are disillusioned too about what is wealth. Because they say, oh man, I got to have $1 million. Do they really need $1 million, or do they really want $1 million? Or do they even know what $1 million lifestyle is? Or do you just want the lifestyle that you think people with, who are worth a lot of money have? So.
Now, that makes me think of a difference between, like, someone who thinks of someone that's rich and wealthy. When I think of wealth, I think of, again, of course, I still think of someone that has a lot of money, but I think of someone that has, it's someone that holds on to it. Like, they have generations of money. It's not just, I hit the lottery and of course now you make this, okay, so yeah, technically you're rich, but are you wealthy? So I think when we look at wealth, it's something that's a little more superior in a way, because it speaks to state of being, a way of thinking, a way of living that is a little different from someone that might be considered, rich. When I think of rich, that's when I really just think of a dollar amount. When I think of people that are wealthy, it's like there is no limit. Like you said, do you really need $1 million, or do you just want $1 million? How about that number that no one even thinks of? Like, it's just someone to me that keeps driving forward towards a vision, and they have a plan in place, and it's just a spirit of its own. Regardless of the amount of money, it's a very, I don't know, I can't describe it. I just feel like it's just an entity unto itself that is thriving because of that mindset, and is ongoing and has longevity. Versus when I think of just rich, I think of someone who is limited. It has a ceiling, it has a cap, and they're not the same mind frame. They don't have a plan. Not saying that people that are rich, quote unquote, don't do, but that's just my view of it. I think of wealth as another step.
Sure.
Someone could have less money than someone that's technically, rich, but I look at it as just a state of being, and someone that is creating this entity, and feeding it. Whether it's a family thing or an individual thing, it just has momentum of its own that's like a thriving force.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think also all the books I've ever read about wealth too, it's interesting because they say you got to get on the other side of money to even become wealthy. And I always kind of wonder, like, what does that mean, the other side of money? But most of them we're talking about, once you're at a point where you don't have to worry about the mundane, then you actually can become the person that you're supposed to be. And once you become the person you're supposed to be, then your wealth comes. And I always found that fact pretty interesting. So it was like, okay, so you work really hard to make money, that way you don't worry about bills. Then If you need to go and sit under a tree and meditate all day, you can. And then the beauty of the world and the beauty of who you are and what you're put on this planet to do comes to you. Then once you're in that zone, sky's the limit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's how I think of wealth. So that if you make $10,000 a year or $10 million a year, that's how I look at it. You know, like you're just in a beautiful state. You're living out your purpose. You have a plan. You're pushing forward. And of course, to me, it does then express itself sometimes in the form of money or whatever it is that sustains yourself. But that's how I look at it. It's something that is more healthy and thriving and expanding versus rich. I think of something that's a little like, you know, limited or capped or ceiling, not a state being me.
Yeah. Rich people, hey, you brought up the lottery. What's that statistic on the lottery is that 98 or so percent of the people who win a lottery are broke like the next year or the next couple of years. And the whole problem is that they're not in their wealth. They're not ready for what that stuff brings. You know what I mean? So wealth is, I think, a growth process too, but it's an entity unto itself, I think. Just like you said, it is an entity. And it takes you a while to become aware of that entity and its relationship to you. So. I think we all have our different relationship with wealth.
True. Yeah, I do believe it's a little relative. And cultural is differences as well. Like, for instance, in the Europe tradition, women are considered wealth. And, children are considered wealth. So that means in terms of, the more wives and the more children a man has, that man is considered rich. In some of those cultures, it's frowned upon if a woman isn't married or a man has no children. That's like having no money, here, So in those cultures, I've observed people that practice those traditions as well, how it does express itself in, as wealth. Because, again, some things, it doesn't always equate to dollars, but when you look at families where you have, 4 or 5 adults, working and then their children are contributing, it does equate to expansion and wealth. There's more hands in the pot. So it's not just someone collecting a bunch of women. These are women with valuable skills and resources. And then, their children also are part of the workings of it. And it does equate to wealth in that way. So I could see how in some cultures it's like, well, if you don't have any of that, well, how are you living? What are you doing? But some other cultures that may not mean the same thing, but I've definitely observed that. And of course, family, especially you definitely see that here, family businesses. Some of the richest, wealthiest people or companies in the world are family businesses. We think of Rockefeller, it's a family. Even other companies like Walmart, DuPont, family businesses. So family is key because it's your economy, and you're keeping that in your family and passing that down in your family name. I think that's a beautiful thing. So that's another form of wealth, and those are examples where it equates to a massive amount of money. But like, large scale and small scale, I look at both of these as wealth because of, again, it's a state that they are, contributing to. It's, this vision that they have. And I think that's beautiful. So it has longevity, and it's something that passes down for generations and generations. People are long gone and they're still talking about the names. It's like, okay, wow. So to me, that's wealth. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Those are some other examples that I observed when I think of wealth, whether it's here or in other cultures that we kind of overlook on. And again, it's especially our health. We don't even think that's related or an important factor. So, those are some little points that I thought were kind of relevant for today.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And it's funny because you think people will chase money. People, you think about people who work, a regular 9-to-5 job, or they'll work hour after hour after hour after hour just to make an extra dollar, and they'll destroy their body. They'll destroy, their mind, and it's all for $1 that's taxed. When you actually boil it down, you didn't even make anything.
Mm-hmm.
And even the richest people in the world would give up the bulk of their wealth to have health. You see it. You see millionaires who go and get stem cell research. You know what I mean? Like, who Michael Jackson living in a glass bubble with the oxygen sleeping thing that he had. Because it was all about living forever and having health, being healthy. So that health piece, people neglect it, but wealth means nothing if you don't have health. Because then you can't enjoy it. You can't enjoy your kids. You can't enjoy your money. You can't enjoy your family. If that's wealth to you, if family is wealth to you, then you can't enjoy it. If you're on your deathbed, sickly, and your family got to push you around in a wheelchair. You can't play soccer with your kids because you got to watch them playing soccer. So.
And definitely, like I said, having a plan, like you mentioned with the lottery winners, how it's just completely gone the next day. Now you can look at those people and say, okay, they probably can't even count that high because some of them were so poor prior to coming into that much money. But you still see the same type of, sloppiness even on the other side with millionaires. Like, have you seen that movie, The Wolf of Wall Street?
No, but I know the story. Yeah.
Okay, it was similar, people working on Wall Street, making crazy money back in the 80s, I believe. True story. And the man with no plan really just wanted to just have so much money. Like that was the goal back then. I'm sure it is too now, but back then, on Wall Street, it was just you could make zillions of dollars and things weren't regulated, so it was all this, corruption going on. But it just shows you how he had all this money, and then at the end he kind of lost it all because he just didn't have a real purpose for it. Even the other things considered like wealth, like the wife, the kids, like lost it all. Because of even that arrangement was just, I don't know what to do at this point. I have so much money, so okay, let's just get married. Even though this might not be the proper mate to marry somebody, especially if you are wealthy. But let's do it anyway. So it seems like people kind of overlook that also having that plan in place so that you can sustain your wealth. So that's why I said I kind of look at it slightly different because there's more of a planning on the wealth side. It's more sustained. It's more of a force, I feel, that is thriving, always thriving, growing, and is dynamic. Where others who may come into money, who may not know what to do with it, it's kind of fleeting. I was rich, and I was kind of the key word. It's not like I still am. But yeah.
I think and to what you're saying is you must be deliberate. You must be deliberate when it comes to wealth, making, having. Because it's interesting. What popped into my head when something you just said was, he just took a wife. He just took a mate, just married somebody and had kids and family. But that was the whole reason for arranged marriages. Because it was a marriage, it was a marrying of wealth. Because the elders looked at the people in the community and said, Damon is this type of person and yada, yada, yada. So his perfect match would be, a sister from a neighboring village. And her parents are, come from a good bloodline, whatever. And they would match that level of success and wealth to make a greater tribe, make a greater family, to bring the perfect families together, to make one larger family. So it's interesting when you think about
like
it.
An empire. Exactly.
Yeah, that's how empires are built.
Yep.
That's how empires are built. If you look at the founding families of the country, most of them are intermarried. Because that's how you keep it. That's how you keep it.
Exactly. And I think that's definitely key. Most of us kind of overlook that family piece, but that is your key to wealth, especially for us. Again, having a plan, being more mindful of mate selection. There was another documentary that I was listening to on Powernomics, and just the key thing that he kept saying was that we, as a black community, sometimes we don't play to win, we just play. So I think of that even in mate selection. It's like, oh, we're just dating. It's like, well, if there's no purpose behind it, you do kind of waste time, and time flies, and now you don't have, when you look back, you kind of just wasted time when you could have been partnering with someone who was building something or working towards something, and then, work towards building your own personal empire, your family, even if it's just 4 people or 5 people, but at least you're coming together and building some type of team, where you can create and sustain wealth for whatever purpose you have for it.
Mm-hmm. Instead of mating because somebody's cute. Oh, they're cute. Now your baby is dumb because that person is cute, because you didn't notice that person was actually pretty stupid. And I'm sorry to be that way, but
exactly. Don't complain later. Exactly. Like, you have to be mindful of that. Mm-hmm.
Yes, when your child can't count, because you married somebody that was just because of their looks. Exactly.
Yeah, you have to have a plan, both men and women, I believe, when you have kids in the fold, definitely. So that mate selection is key. I feel like you can't complain about the mate after you had kids. Like, you chose that person, so make it work, especially if you have kids. That's my little bit of advice. Like, be very mindful of your mate selection. That is your key to having some type of a plan in place for your family.
There's an old person in my family that used to say something, and I thought it was the most harsh statement ever in the world till he explained it to me when I got older. And he used to go, Damon, when you get married, son, don't marry a woman dumber than you.
Ooh.
And like, what are you saying? You can't talk about people like that. Then when I got older, he said, when it comes to taking on a mate, you need to be, he was just telling me you need to be very selective. That was his way of saying be selective, but then he broke it down. He said, listen, if you've traveled the world and your wife has never been outside the side of town she lives on, what are you going to talk about? You two have nothing in common. You two are not on the same page in life. And then he started to break it down about selection. That was his way of starting the conversation off. He was a pretty rude guy, but hey, that's how he was.
And, I think it's the same thing with women. I feel like you should date up, of course. You would think it's strange, but some women I've met are kind of scared to date up. They want someone that's probably lower than them, just at their level. To me, you can't really, I feel like your mate as a woman should teach you, should inspire you, lead you. Because that's that key, again, to building that empire, that wealth for you and your family, or your future family, and generations ahead. Because, again, when I think of wealth, it's not just today, it's when you're gone, So I think that's key to kind of date up. And I'm not just saying has a lot of money and all that stuff. It's kind of someone that is beyond you,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I feel like definitely is key to leading that empire.
Yeah, no, I agree. Have we gotten off on a tangent about dating and stuff?
Well, I was trying to tie back with the the whole wealth piece. But like you spoke, we came there because of the empire piece, and to me, that's just a family that has expanded and joined, maybe with another family and grown more. But I did just have some little quick common sense tips again for amassing wealth. I believe even how you present yourself, of course, that's key. As they say, the really corny saying, dress for success. And that means when you leave your house, basically look your best every single day, because you never know who you may bump into. It may be an opportunity. You don't want to be somewhere and you have on sweatpants or something, especially women. I think we should, always look our best, make sure you're groomed properly, whatever that is for you, but make sure you look presentable so that if someone sees you, you're in a position where they would offer you an opportunity. You don't want to miss that because you're not dressed a certain way or hygiene is off. So I think that's just a common sense that some of us also overlook. And of course, being articulate, having something to say. Especially we've learned, corporate environments, people like to hear what you have to say. So you could read certain books, watch documentaries, whatever interests you, so you can, have something interesting to say when you speak with certain people or certain circles that you want to get into. And my other tip, of course, is living your life a certain way. Like all the shows that we've been talking about so far, living your life with your character, which for me means, living the purpose that you came to live. Because like, Brother Damon said, that kind of just opens up all the, the universe is at your side once you get in alignment with your purpose. And of course, treating people with respect and, having integrity. All those things, I think, kind of open up the door to wealth for you. Those are my few little tidbits on common sense tips for amassing wealth.
Good stuff. So, have to take notes.
So next up is our in the news segment. Damon, did you want to take us there?
Yes. I wanted to talk about a gentleman that I saw just recently, and he's in Harlem. It's a young guy. The article was in the Post, in New York Post, and you could probably find him on the internet now anywhere. But it's a young kid who opened up it's called Sneaker Pawn, and it's a sneaker pawn shop. And what he did was him and his dad created this pawn shop for high-end tennis shoes. So I'm not really a tennis shoe guy, so I don't know all the names, but the collector tennis shoes that come out, they take them for a low price, and then they resell them, and they refurb. I saw him on a news show, and he was actually refurbishing the shoes, like kind of repainting some, touching up some of them. But real neat business. And he even said, because they asked him why did he do it, and he said, well, I've always wanted to be in business, but as a kid, we don't have anything, we don't have cars, and we don't have money, we don't have jewelry and stuff like that. But one thing we do have is the shoes. So he created the business around what he knew. So I thought, one, it was gutsy. Two, it kind of goes back to what I was talking about over the last couple of shows, is being in that space of knowing what you like. Here's a kid who took exactly what he knows. He knows tennis shoes in and out. He knows what's hot, what's not, value, blah, 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 and created a whole business around it. So that's the one I want to talk about.
Yeah, I think that's great. I love it anytime, kids are starting their own businesses. I just think it's amazing. I'm just starstruck. I'm like, wow. Because, it's, again, like in my era, we weren't groomed to have your own businesses. Maybe you have maybe a lemonade stand or something like that, but nothing serious like these kids are doing. And I think it's beautiful that taking, again, something that he knows and it's like, well, how can I make money out of this? I love that entrepreneurial spirit where it's like, okay, I don't have to work for someone else. I can kind of start my own business. And I think that's great because the kids are into sneakers. Like you go into Harlem, even the girls, you know, high top this, high top that, like sneaker craze, you know. So I think that's great that he's helping also the community and his peers, you know, like if a kid needs money for something, you know, like the prom or whatever, like you mentioned earlier, and they can just turn in their sneakers or something and get this money. That's a beautiful thing. Because I remember when I was a kid, it was like, oh my God, how am I going to get money for this? Especially if you don't have a family that can just dish out money every time you need something. So if they can just use their own resources and just cash it in, and he's providing that outlet, I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, one of the things, too, that was really beautiful about the whole situation is they interviewed his dad, and his dad was like, no, he is the boss. I just work here. You know, so for an 18-year-old, well, he probably wasn't 18. It was like he was about 16. So a 16-year-old, for your dad to say that, you know, oh, he's the boss. It was beautiful, too, because at the end of the thing, he says to the interviewer that my dad is now my best friend. And he turns and he looks at his dad with this really warm look. Then the lady said, yo, how does that make you feel? And he said, and the dad said, man, I almost want to cry. You know, like that's deep. That's deep. That's real deep for a son and father to have that type of relationship, you know. So, and they built it all on, you know, something that the son loves, tennis shoes, sneakers. So the dad is there to guide him a little bit, but the son probably really runs the show.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, Dad, those aren't hot, yo. We can't take. You know what I mean? You know, so.
Exactly. But I think it's cool though, again, because again, that's a family business. You know, so they're working together. Even if it's the younger son who's kind of in charge, he's more connected to the kids with these sneakers. Than his father, but of course he knows that he needs guidance, and who more better to get it from than his own father. So I love that story.
Yeah, and it's right there in the community. It's in Harlem, all Sneaker Pond. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was impressed. Because I've actually looked at that market and said people need to be doing more around it. And I think the consumers need to be doing more. I think people are losing some opportunities there. You know, you're always buying, but if you're always buying, like Dr. Claude Anderson says, you know, you're not in control. So and there's some ways that I don't buy tennis shoes, but you look at the amount of tennis shoes that I purchased. Probably just take New York itself. You know what I mean? Like, just take the tri-state area. It's the amount of sneakers that are purchased in that area alone. You imagine what money Nike and Reebok and those other guys are just doing just there.
Oh yeah, I've seen like kids wrapped around a corner waiting outside like it was a concert for some new Nikes just came out.
Yeah.
You know? And they're like $200 minimum for these sneakers. So, you know, he's definitely tapped into a good market. And the thing, too, is that they go out of style like months later. So there's another new Nike that just came out and everyone's out there again. So at least he's got like a nice little turnover going on. If, you know, kids are like, okay, these are old now. You know, I can take it to the pawn shop, you know, get some more money, maybe to get another pair of sneakers or something. But I think that's a great idea because it's definitely a market that I don't think is going to go anywhere anytime soon because people love their shoes.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think he's really tapped into something. If he does it right, that can be pretty big. So, especially the collector ones. I mean, I don't know kind of how that works, but the retros, that they go back and they buy the retros that we wore. They buy the shoes that we wore. Like, you know, his retros when we were kids. So
yeah, those are all out now. You go to Harlem right now, everything's retro. All the old Adidas, the high top, the shell top, just everything looks like so back in the day. It's nostalgic. I love it.
I'm waiting for the Reebok pumps to come back, the one with the basketball on the top that you can pump up.
Those I did not like.
That was my favorite shoe. Those are my favorite shoes. You probably wore Reeboks, didn't you?
No, I like Nikes.
Oh, I don't like Nikes.
Nikes, and I like Adidas. But I mainly wore Nikes because I used to run too in college, so they have the best ones. So they had the most stylish sneakers and the best sneakers for athletics. So I was a Nike.
Oh, see, I like the Adidas. I've never been a Nike fan. Adidas.
Oh.
Reeboks now and then. And then I'm going to tell my age. I used to break dance, so, I was a breaker, so I had to have, you had to have the Adidas.
Oh, definitely.
What B-boy you got to be. And the Pumas, yeah. Oh,
I definitely like Pumas, too. Definitely.
Yeah. I'm telling my age, people.
So they're classics because they are back, so you can't go wrong with some Nikes or Adidas or Pumas.
Yeah, shells for Adidas never go away.
Exactly. They're in stores today still. So I'm sure he has to be doing pretty well, especially in Harlem. Kids love their sneakers there, so I'm very happy for him.
Yeah, so me too. I think it was a great article.
So next up, do you have an announcement?
Yeah, we're still doing the same thing. So guys, email me, and we're having an open coaching session. So email me or give me a call, 865-271-8021, or you can shoot me an email at Damon, DAMON, at DamonRawls.com. That's Rawls like Lou Rawls. So send me an email over there, and we're having an open coaching call every 2 weeks. So, and I'll answer any business questions you have, and we've got a product that we're going to launch in a little while, but I'm keeping that on the wraps. Not telling people yet. So, soon you guys will know. So, but that's what we got going on. So
beautiful. And next is Tamu. You want to introduce?
Yes, our next segment will be coming from another student, and her name is Tamu Agina, and it's Your Vital Energy.
Thank you for joining me today. I'm your host, Tamu Ngina, and I welcome you to join me today on this new segment, as I have been invited over here to enlightenment and transformation. There are going to be some changes, and I'd like to outline that for you. I have changed the name of this segment from Your Vital Energy to Vital Energy for Holistic Entrepreneurs. And if you're interested in the definition, or at least my definition, of holistic entrepreneur, for me, it means someone who is basically following their bliss, their passion, their quote-unquote work or job or career stems out of their soul's mission. So they're either into healing, or they're an artist, or they're a business owner, and their work is not that much separated from their life. It's their life mission. So these segments of Vital Energy for the Holistic Entrepreneur will be broken down into 4 parts. And how I would like this to go is there will be an opening meditation. That is the first part. The second part of the segment, I will present to you a resource for you to review. That resource could be a website, it could be a book, it could be even a movie or music. The third part of the segment is the healing tip. That will include tips for use to help the holistic entrepreneur, such as an essential oil, an herb, a particular meditation that is helpful. And the fourth part of vital energy for the holistic entrepreneur, the fourth part will be a closing meditation. Thank you. Okay, so let's take a moment to sort of center ourselves. If you're sitting down, allow yourself to just be relaxed, your shoulders softened, your head, your neck is very relaxed. If you're standing, be sure to allow your feet to be approximately shoulder length apart. You can either have your hands resting in your lap, on your thighs, or down at your side. Or my favorite position, which is the Gasho position or Namaste, which is having your hands in prayer position at your heart level. I would like to share with you a meditation that I wrote and is inspired by Thich Nhat Hanh and Dr. Wayne Dyer. So take a moment to center yourself, focus on your breathing. You want to breathe in deeply and slowly, down into your diaphragm and then up into your chest, and then exhale. And your exhalations will always be slightly longer than your inhalations. And the meditation begins as thus. Breathing in, I trust that I have the divine capacity to manifest and attract all that I need. Breathing out, I understand that as a divine child of the universe, of the source of life, I have an abundance of what I need. Therefore, I generously give of my abundance to others. May it be so. In this second part of Vital Energy for the Holistic Entrepreneur, I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to a book that I believe will help you in your holistic entrepreneurship, help you in manifesting your prosperity, your abundance, your wealth, your health, in all aspects of your life. I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Tammy Belazewski. She is a holistic life counselor, a relationship expert, and a prosperity coach, as well as she hosts a radio show on Empower Radio. She has written an amazing book called Manifesting Prosperity from the Inside Out. She is a woman with whom, through correspondence, I have become sisters of the heart with. She has been a wonderful healing support for me over the last 3 years. She has been my cheerleader, encouraged me on the road of forgiveness, and reminded me of my innate power to manifest from the inside out. I first learned of Dr. Tammy through my son's pediatrician, She recommended Dr. Tammy's first book to me, Manifesting Love from the Inside Out. A book unlike no other and very much worth reading. Just recently, Tammy published her new book, Manifesting Prosperity from the Inside Out. And this book is not simply about manifesting financial prosperity, but presents you with wonderful tools to claim greater prosperity on all levels of your life, including health, relationships with others and self, emotional and spiritual. She uses a blend of psychological and spiritual principles as she believes one without the other is incomplete. Dr. Tammy feels it is important to heal limiting beliefs and subconscious conditioning from our childhood, as well as get in line with our higher selves, thus cultivating a relationship with the source of life. Her method, The Inside Out, is a healing journey. In her book, Manifesting Prosperity from the Inside Out, Dr. Tammy invites us to open our minds and have fun with manifesting. I have only just begun to read this wonderful book, but I trust if it is anything like the first one, Manifesting Love from the Inside Out, whoever enjoys it will be ready for an amazing healing journey. Okay, Manifesting Prosperity from the Inside Out contains about 4 parts. And I decided to go ahead and share those parts with you because I find them to be very interesting and very important. The first part of the book is the elements of prosperity. And there are approximately 15 chapters. In the first part, the elements of prosperity, chapter 1 is prosperity. Who is it for? Chapter 2, Prosperity Defined. Chapter 3, Making Friends with Your Subconscious Mind. And Chapter 4, Aligning with Your Higher Self. Part 2 is Deserving and Claiming Your Prosperity. And that begins with Chapter 5, What Do You Deserve? Chapter 6, How Good Can You stand it to get? I really like that one because that brings to mind, even with myself, and I've heard with other people, that they sort of, when that big break is just about to happen, sometimes they get cold feet. You can develop cold feet because you feel like, oh no, this is really going to happen. Oh no, can I do it? Can I really show up? So Tammy really delves into that and helping you release that subconscious conditioning that, allows you to dig your heels in and sort of sabotage your own prosperity. Chapter 7, Weeding Your Garden. Chapter 8, Tending Your Garden. And part 3 of the book is Getting Real with Money. Chapter 9, Your Relationship with Money. And Chapter 10, To Tithe or Not to Tithe. Part 4, Prosperity and Your Life's Purpose. Because as I said before, Dr. Tammy, prosperity is not just about finances. It's about truly being in touch with your higher self, your soul, or the divine, and truly living and truly understanding and living what your life's mission and purpose is. So chapter 11 is Surrender. Chapter 12 is Creativity and Prosperity. Chapter 13 is Seeing is Believing. Chapter 14, The Purpose of Your Life. And last but not least, Chapter 15, Let Your Light Shine. So, I have just received my copy of Manifesting Prosperity from the Inside Out, and I am excited to get started on it. I read Manifesting Love from the Inside Out, and it truly helped me in beginning the journey of healing old wounds, truly understanding forgiveness. Not just forgiving the other person, but also learning to truly forgive myself. Because in whatever situation you're in, if you feel that you've been hurt or wrong, it takes two. Just like the old saying goes, it takes two to tangle. It takes two for whatever the action is and whatever emotions you're left with. So, I've shared with you this great resource. I encourage you to check out Manifesting Prosperity from the Inside Out. You can order it direct from Dr. Tammy's website at www.tammyphd.com, and that is Tammy, Tammi, B as in boy, P as in Peter, HD as in dog.com. Vital energy for the holistic entrepreneur. The healing tip that I would like to share with you today is rosemary essential oil. Who doesn't want to improve their memory? As a holistic entrepreneur, your life is your business, and your business is your life, is your mission, is your passion. I am sure, like many of us, you are probably juggling many things, and sometimes you do not necessarily remember everything that you're juggling. Well, rosemary essential oil is an essential oil that has been shown to help improve memory. So check yourself. Go and purchase yourself a bottle of rosemary essential oil. One of my favorite brands is the Now brand. That's N-O-W, Now. And you can use the rosemary essential oil by putting it in a carrier oil such as grapeseed, olive oil, coconut oil might even work as well. Avocado oil is another oil that's really good for the skin. Inhaling this essential oil has been noted to help improve memory. You can also add it to the rinse water for your hair. It helps to give a nice, luxurious shine to your hair. And another way to use this oil, you can put it in a diffuser and have it bring wonderful fragrance to your home or your office, which a lot of the times for holistic entrepreneurs, your office is in your home. So rosemary essential oil, you use it for your business, you're studying for an exam, need to pass that license, feeling a little sluggish, need help remembering whatever it is that you're studying or working on. Rosemary essential oil is your healing tip for today. So, moving right along, I'd like to share with you a closing meditation. One of my favorite meditations from one of my Reiki teachers, Leslie Sutkus of Ascension Reiki, and it is the I Am mantra. So again, take a moment to calm yourself, to still yourself. Breathing in deeply and exhaling even deeper. Bring your hands to Namaste position, to Gassho position, right to the center of your being, your heart area. I am healing. Worry is gone. I am remembering to smile. I am peace. Anger is gone. I am remembering to laugh. I am abundance. Scarcity is gone. I am remembering to work honestly and be generous. I am joy. Sorrow is gone. I am remembering to rejoice and be thankful for my many blessings. I am love. Fear is gone. I am remembering to be kind to my neighbor and all living things. I am remembering to be kind to myself. I am life. Separation is gone. I am remembering to be happy. I am one with the great being. Loneliness is gone. I am remembering the greatest gift of love and returning home. All minds together as one surrender to love on the path of forgiveness. May it be so. Thank you for joining me on this new journey, this new venture on enlightenment and transformation. This is your host, Tamu and Gina. Thank you for joining me on this segment of Vital Energy for the Holistic Entrepreneur. I look forward to sharing more with you in the coming segments. You may visit me online at www.tamuandgina.com. Thank you, enjoy, and peace.
So thank you all for joining us again on Mastermind Monday. And if you have any questions, feel free to send them to us because we love to answer questions. You can email us at mastermindsmonday@gmail.com. And again, that's the word master, minds, S-I-N-D-S, Monday @gmail.com. Feel free to ask us whatever. And of course, we'll answer your question live here. So again, until next time, we'll see you again next week. Peace.
Yes, peace, everyone, and we'll see you next week.